Good morning, everyone. My name is Lola Day Holmes, and today I will be moderating this discussion on the 411 on doing business here in Tallahassee. Before we start, I would like to thank our partners for this year's Med Week. I know there's a slide, but I'd like to thank them for partnering with us. And without further ado, we will get started. Yes, so thank you to our partners again. And thank you all for joining us. This is the very first workshop of the week, so thank you. So we have, of course, representatives here from FAMU, FSU, as well as Leon County. So we'll be having a discussion with them, asking them a couple of questions, and of course, a representative from the city. So thank you for joining us. If you all have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will try as much as possible to get those answered. And we'll get started. So ladies, thank you all for joining us. In a few words, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, would you just go around introducing yourself, telling us what agencies you represent, and maybe just some goods and services that your agencies purchase? So who wants to go first?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. My name is Karen Gibson, and I'm the Associate Director of Procurement Services at Florida State University. I just wanted to briefly start by giving you a little background about FSU. FSU is a major research public institution with significant purchasing activity, supporting our academic and research missions. We have a mostly centralized purchasing environment, whereas purchasing responsibilities mainly fall within main procurement services for most all goods and services. Only major construction is handled by FSU facilities. An overview of what we purchase, but not all inclusive, is anything from IT equipment and supplies, office supplies, scientific and medical, furniture, janitorial, MRO, and contractual services. And many of our facilities, including our main campus, include the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory here in Tallahassee, our FSU FAMU College of Engineering, the Marine Lab at Turkey Point, the Ringling Museum at Sarasota, and our Panama City branch campus. And we currently have just over 41,000 students. FSU also promotes our supplier diversity initiative through education and outreach and contract opportunities and second tier opportunities. And you can find more information on our website about our supplier diversity initiative. And here at FSU, every purchase starts with a need, and a department will contact procurement services on available procurement options based on dollar amount and what it is that's being purchased. So since we're a public university, we have to abide by our Board of Governors procurement regulations, we have FSU regulations, and our Florida state statutes, in addition to federal laws. And we ask that you as suppliers do your research and search our procurement website and get to know us better, and review the supplier tab on our website for general requirements and info on how to do business with FSU. Just a note about facilities. Facilities here at FSU is responsible for maintenance, utilities, grounds, building services, campus master planning, and construction. And you can view the major construction projects on the FSU facilities website. We do utilize different types of solicitation methods depending on the dollar amount and technicality of purchase. So for instance, purchases that are under $75,000, we would use a request for quote process. And then purchases that are over $75,000 or greater, we would either go out for an invitation to bid or an invitation to negotiate. And facilities procurement may utilize a request for qualifications for professional services such as architects and engineer type services. And then in addition, we may also utilize an already existing contract or competitively awarded contract through another entity such as State of Florida, a cooperative or consortium, or other governmental entity. We do utilize an electronic system for our bids and ITNs called SpearMart. And a supplier is notified of a sourcing event through SpearMart, and you would receive a notification of that sourcing event, and then you would need to register to participate in that event by answering questions and uploading your bid or proposal documents. And to register as an FSU bidder and receive notifications of future competitive solicitations that may be of interest to you, you can visit our supplier management portal. It's on our website under competitive solicitations, and you'll see the solicitation opportunities listed. When you click on one, it'll take you to the supplier portal where you will complete a short registration process. And if you don't have an account, you can just simply click on the create account button. Again, you can find more information on our website at procurement.fsu.edu. And you can also see the available contact information for our buying staff out there for particular commodities and services. So thank you, and we do look forward to doing business with you.
Thank you, Karen. It's very detailed. And I guess if someone from the representative from FAMU, Sheryl, if you would like to go next.
Good morning. I am Sheryl Sumner. I am a purchasing coordinator here at Florida A&M University. I've been within procurement for the last 16 and a half years, and we welcome all our suppliers to do business with us. We reach out. We would love to have our small minority vendors to join in at any point. We do ask that you do solicit yourself to our different departments, and they will make contact with us as to ensure it's a purchase that can happen. And we would like all of our suppliers to know you must complete your supplier application and W-9 to be registered as a supplier. And that's with the intent that you are going to complete, do business with the university. We do have our construction, but basically everything comes straight through our procurement area. The projects are handled through our facilities and construction area, but again, you still have to complete the supply application and W-9 to get into our office. We do have requirements, just as Ms. Gibson mentioned. Anything that's above 75 and above, it requires a bid. We utilize what is called Bonfire for our bidding system. So you do have the availability to look on our webpage at thefamu.edu to go to procurement in order to see our bids that are out there. You too register, and it can submit to you when a bid is available for the type of commodity or services that's being out for bid. We do ask that you go ahead and register on Bonfire so that you are able to receive those. Anything under the $75,000, it do require quotes. At different levels, it require your quotes. So please be mindful that the areas will have to get quotes if they're pursuing, depending on what the purchase is. Our contractual process, you submit all our contracts into our purchasing at famu.edu, and we will review to see if that is an applicable services for contracting, so that we are able to go ahead and pursue your type of services. Again, we recommend you solicit yourself to the departments. They will contact our office for any questions or concerns as to assisting you becoming a vendor or making sure that your purchase orders come out. Also, please note the departments cannot submit their POs to you. They are strictly dispersed through our purchasing office for that. And we do strongly recommend you do not provide services until you receive those purchase orders from us. Again, I can't reiterate that enough. Please receive your purchase orders prior to submitting any type of services or good, okay? And as Karen mentioned as well, we do follow the state statutes as well as our regulations here at the university as well. We thank you and we welcome all suppliers.
Thank you so much, Sheryl.
You're welcome.
How about Shelly?
Sure. Good morning. My name is Shelly Kelly. I'm the purchasing director here at Leon County. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I'm always excited about getting new suppliers and new vendors into our system. we buy a little bit of everything on the county, from IT supplies to custodial to actual road work and various construction. So like I said, anything that you can think of, we probably buy at some point in time with that. We currently, right now, are mostly centralized with the exception of things that get quotes. Our program offices can get quotes for anything up to $50,000. So for some of those things, you're going to want to go back out and touch base and contact our department so that you can get your name in front of them. So the next time they pick up the phone or they shoot out an email and want to get quotes from somebody, that if it's something you're interested in, that they've got your name and it goes out to you. After that, things come through everything else comes through our office, and we'll either do an informal bid or a formal competitive solicitation. We might, depending on what the service or commodity is, we might do an ITB. We might do a request for proposals. We do requests for qualifications for professional services like architects and engineers. Or depending on what we're doing, we may actually do an invitation to negotiate with that. So everything is formal. The system that we currently use is called Procure Now. It is out on our website. And strongly suggest that you go out and register there and register under the commodity codes for the services or commodities that you provide. That way, anytime we put a bid out in the system, you'll automatically get an email to let you know that that bid's out there and you have that opportunity. This is a fairly new system for us, and we are really enjoying it because actually once you get out there and get registered, if you decide to submit a bid or submit any type of response to one of our competitive solicitations, it has the option that it will notify you every time we do something to that solicitation. So every time we answer a question, if we put out an addenda, when we post the award, you'll get notified of that automatically. So the system is being very helpful. That way we don't have to tell you to come back and keep checking every so often if you want to look at something or see what the status of it is. Some of the things I tend to really encourage is to attend our pre-bids if it's something that you may be interested in, or if you may be interested in doing a subcontracting opportunity with a prime. While you may not be able to do the entire large job, there may be parts and pieces of the project that you could do, and strongly recommend trying to get in and do some of that subcontracting and build your reputation. And that way some of our project managers and everything will know who you are and get a feel for how you work. And then that will go ahead and probably lead to other opportunities too, especially when they go to pick up the phone and they need to call somebody for a quote. If they're familiar with you and you've done some work for us and they know what your work product's like, a lot of times those opportunities come along. So I strongly recommend to attend the pre-bids and to look for subcontracting opportunities. Just because you may be unable to do the full project or whatever else, that doesn't mean that you can't come to the pre-bid. And when you come to the pre-bid, you can see who the primes are and see who you may want to contact to see and offer your services to under a larger project. So in addition to coming in as a prime on a project, you can also come in as a sub, and we like to always provide that opportunity with that. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. We don't do anything drastically different than what you've heard from FSU or FAMU. Some of our thresholds are a little bit different, but everything that we're doing competitively right now is going through Procure Now, and we do also have I'm sorry, I just absolutely lost my train of thought. We have aspirational goals in most of our solicitations to use MWS BE subcontracting or for them to come as the prime. So we're always striving to meet those goals. And we're also looking on building our small business program also. One of the things that we have in our policy that's allowed is that for anything that's under $150,000, if we have a large enough small business pool, we can go straight out to those small businesses and do an informal bid to those SBEs. So if you're not already registered with the MWSBE office, please do make sure that you're registered as a small business also, and it gives you a little bit more opportunities that way. And if you've got any questions, please give us a call. Anybody here in the purchasing office at the county can help you, and I'll be happy to direct you to the contact people in certain areas in certain of the program offices if you would like that, so that you can contact them and get your information in front of them. But if you have any questions, please feel free to call us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelly. You gave some good recommendations too with attending pre-bids. But last but certainly not least, we have Veronica from the city. Veronica, same question. If you would just introduce yourself, tell us the agency you represent, as well as some maybe goods and services that you purchase.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Veronica McCracken, and I am the procurement manager here for the city of Tallahassee. I've been here in this seat for a good 18 months, so I'm still learning a lot of things, but echo a lot of the comments from the ladies earlier. Our buying is pretty extensive in terms of the goods and services that the city needs. We have power plants here. We have janitorial, office supplies, IT, some of the anything and everything that you would need to run a city. We buy it here, medical services, you name it. So it is very vast in terms of the goods and services that the city purchases. In terms of the platform that we use, the city uses BidSync. I encourage you to go out to our website at www.talgov.com, click on Business to Government, and it will take you to our BidSync platform so that you can register there and learn about the existing solicitations that are out there that the city has released looking for new suppliers. We too, like everybody else, have a threshold. For us, if it is $50,000 or more, that reaches a level of a competitive solicitation, and those things are handled typically through this office. Anything less than that, anything from $3,000 or less is something that does not have to be competitively let, but departments handle our quotes for anything between $3,000 and $50,000. So like Karen's and Sheryl have said earlier, certainly make yourself available or aware to departments. There are things that they initiate in terms of quotes that you may be eligible for that the procurement office itself here does not handle. Like Shelly, I also echo the comment about being present at those pre-bid opportunities. Even though you may not be able to handle the entire bid, you may be able to partner with a prime or with someone else to meet or satisfy that bid. So certainly from that perspective, that's definitely a way that you can leverage the opportunities that the city has available to vendors. Once you do become a supplier to the city, we do have a supplier portal where you will register, and that too is on the TalGov website. And so generally, that's pretty much kind of a high-level synopsis in terms of what the city has available.
Great, thank you all. For those of you who are joining us, please, like I mentioned earlier, feel free to comment whatever questions you may have in the chat, and I will direct them to our panelists here. But if you all would, I know you kind of already touched on this in your comments, but maybe also tell us if you're aware of other opportunities. So maybe some bids or quotes that are out there from your agency. So current needs or maybe pressing needs that you may have that maybe some of the suppliers can participate in.
I'll speak up. At FSU, we do have a few solicitations that are currently listed out there that are in open status. You'll want to go out and actually take a look at these solicitations that are listed. Some do have mandatory pre-bid meetings, and they do have requested dates that things are due in by, such as questions or when the bids or proposals are due by. So you'll want to pay close attention to the dates and the instructions in each of these, either bids or proposals, and or requests for qualifications if it's something through facilities.
I was looking real quick and whatever else we don't have. This is Shelly at the county. We don't have a whole bunch right this second that is out online that's open. But please take a look. I suspect we have a couple of things in the hopper that are going to be coming along, but right now, it looks like all we've got solid waste consulting services that's out there active, which is very unusual because usually we have a whole lot more out there, but I think we just opened a whole bunch of them on the 30th. But take a look out there and just, again, look at the Procure Now website and it'll list everything that's active. We also have a new function that we're starting to use or whatever else, and it's going to have up there and it'll show you what's upcoming or something that's coming soon. You'll have a coming soon tab, and you can take a look at the solicitations that we're working on developing that we should be releasing in the near future.
Thank you.
Here at FAMU, we do have a need for like lawn services for the different areas. We have different areas such as like our New Beginnings, our elementary, FAMU DRS elementary, and then some of our housing areas. We do have a solicitation for lawn services, and we definitely recommend you go to our webpage. If you find a struggle on our webpage, they're currently updating the university's webpage, and we're all kind of hitting those bumps and bruises. But if you have a question or concern about any bids, do not hesitate to email to purchasing@famu.edu. Please email to purchasing@famu.edu or give us a call at 850-599-3203. Also, I see they have some media advertisement consultants that are out there currently, and that's pretty much for the medical marijuana, and that's a lot of, could consist of a lot of media advertisement, getting an understanding across for medical marijuana out there. A few constructional bids are out there. So again, I ask that you go out and look at the webpage, and if you have a question or concern, again, don't hesitate to give us a call.
Hi. And so I'll focus on some of the upcoming solicitations that we have that will be due for the month of October. So at our airport, we have the Tallahassee International Passenger and Processing Facility. That particular solicitation is due on October 28th. We have electrical services for our substations and distribution. That particular solicitation is due on October 18th. We have the Gemini Building third story fresh air unit replacement, which is due on October 19th. We have the purchase of wastewater polymer that is due October 14th. The Star Metro coach operator and supervisor uniforms and emblems, that is due October 5th. And our electronic bill payment system and implementation services, which is due October 28th. So that kind of gives you a broad breadth of the span of things that we purchase here on behalf of the city. But like everyone else, I encourage you to go out to our website, look at BidSync to see the current solicitations that are out there. You will need to be mindful of the fact that some of these may include mandatory pre-bid meetings. So if you weren't present, you wouldn't be eligible. So you need to keep that in mind. Even though these are due in October, sometimes those pre-bid meetings happen pretty early in the process. But take a look, and certainly encourage you to look at what's out there to see if you're interested.
Thank you. So we actually have a couple questions in the chat, and I will just go ahead and read them. And one of them says, being a bakery, this is from Jennifer Young, being a bakery, do you usually place bidding opportunities for my field of work?
This is Shelly at the county. we would probably not put out bidding opportunities for that, because I strongly suspect that that's going to be under our threshold, that we're not going to spend more than $50,000 on that. And as a matter of fact, depending on what it is, if it's under 2,500, they don't even have to get quotes. If you want to get in touch with us, I can share with you the areas that maybe buy something from those services, whether we're buying it for commissioner meals, or we're having some event where we're going to have something. I can share it with those program offices, but that would probably not do, from the county side, do a competitive solicitation for that.
Does anyone else from either FAMU or FSU want to address that on the university side?
Well, here at FAMU, we would not bid that out as well. We would not, and keep in mind that we do have a university contract that is in place that's already been solicited and bidded for. So we would have to first make sure we follow the guidelines of that contract. If they cannot provide that particular item, it is up to the department that they would have to obtain a waiver, and then they're able to move forward. But again, you would have to talk to the different departments, and they would have to follow the proper protocol of the contract.
And we have another question from Daryl Jones. He said, could you please discuss continuing service opportunities?
So I'll be glad to raise that on behalf of the city. So we have continuing services opportunities, or something that we call citywide contracts. We have a lot of construction, a lot of things that need fixing. So oftentimes we will do a request for qualifications. And it's kind of a two-step process. So in other words, if we need painters, if we need plumbers, if we need electricians, those type of skilled service trades, we will issue a request for qualification. The central or critical point to that list is, once you make that qualification list, it then kind of becomes what I call almost a closed vendor pool. In other words, if there are any painting services, any plumbing services, any general contracting services, we will continue to go to that closed vendors. So when you see those requests for qualification, definitely do not ignore it. It is certainly, it's like a repeat cycle where you will definitely, over the course or the term of that contract, is usually 3 years for us with 2 years of renewal. So any services as it relates to plumbing that needs to be done within the city, we will return to those particular vendors that have been qualified by us. I think additionally, we do set a limit. So if the project itself is typically more than $150,000, then we will then issue a separate solicitation or bid for it. But certainly with those particular trades, when you see those opportunities, do not ignore them. Likewise, we have the same thing typically in terms of consultants, architects, engineers who work on several of the city projects. We have a list of qualified engineers through our professional services. So those continuing services contracts, like I said, are very critical. And if you're eligible, certainly take advantage of applying for those.
Thank you. We have another question. It says, how are you working with the local Chamber of Commerce to share information on bids and solicitations? Anyone want to help on this one?
I'm not sure that from the county side, I don't know that we're reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce for that we're putting things on our webpage. We're trying to get, and we're working with you all over in OSD to get that out, but I'm not sure that I think that's a good suggestion, but I think that's something I suspect that most of us are probably not doing.
I agree.
based on that silence. I also, while I got it right here, I want to kind of follow up on what Veronica was talking about continuing supply. County does a lot of them also for a lot of things, like I said, custodial, tree trimming, plumbing, electrical, painting, all those type of things. So when they do come up, please make sure that you use them. Another thing that I want to let you know that we all do, we purchasing's a pretty small community and we do work together. And there are times too when someone has a continuing supply contract out there that even if we don't have one, I might go to Veronica and say, if you've got one, can we piggyback off that contract and can we use those? So those continuing supply contracts, when they come up to bid, are very important for you to throw your hat in the ring in that solicitation and try to get on that continuing supply list. It's usually a multiple award. And we may have anybody from 2 or 3 to maybe even 5 or 6, depending on what the service is. We probably wouldn't have many more than that because we want everybody to be able to get some work off of those contracts. But do know that we sometimes share those contracts also. So it's really critical to make sure that you can get out there on those. So I'm sorry, go ahead. Next question.
Did we have any additional questions? Let me see. Okay, here we go. So another question says, what are the upcoming continuing supply contracts for you all?
Let's see what we got here. Here at the county, what we've got look like we've got upcoming here, probably potentially floor cleaning services. We're getting ready to do our printer. That's not going to be continuing supply. It'll be a single person to do printer, copier maintenance and support. We're looking to do landscaping services pretty soon. Let's see if we have something upcoming here that we may do signs for parks and for some of our facilities. Looking maybe at sod installation, yard debris removal, debris monitoring and debris removal services, septic services, sidewalk services. And that looks about that's what I've got on my list right now that I know about. Doesn't mean something won't pop up, but that's what I know about right now.
I will say for the city, I think probably it's COVID. I think certainly for us kind of caught us a little flat-footed on the cleaning side of the house, even though we have existing janitorial services provided in-house. We are probably going to be looking to supplement those services in terms of sanitizing, so that in the future, when we do experience that we need things sanitized or cleaned or deep cleaning, that is probably a solicitation that will be up and coming, is looking for those janitorial services or sanitizing services to supplement what we already have.
Great, thank you. I guess there are no more, okay, not at the moment. But if you all could maybe, I know within your introductions, you kind of already touched on this, but if you could share maybe some minimum qualifications within your agency's purchasing policies. So for example, if I'm a business and I want to do business with Leon County or the city or whichever agency, do I need to be in business for a certain amount of years before I can work with you? Are there policies like that, like minimum qualifications?
So here at FSU, I think it depends on the solicitation, the type of solicitation, and the requirements or the specifications and scope of work that we're looking for. There will be information within the solicitation event that will explain if we're looking for certain standards or requirements. So you'll want to pay special attention and read through the solicitation document just to make sure that you meet the qualifications of what we're looking for. Not every solicitation has set standards, but some do. So you'll want to pay attention to that.
And that's pretty much true here at the county also, that a lot, it varies by solicitation and the service that we're looking for, the size and complexity of the project that we're working on doing. So as opposed to having a standard baseline, it varies solicitation by solicitation depending upon the project.
Yeah, I agree. I think another thing is, certain licenses that you have to have. If you're in the trades, your plumbing license, your electrical license, there are some things that you will need in order to qualify, depending, and like everyone else has said, it really depends on the solicitation or the services that are being sought.
I was sitting here, I think, Veronica, when you were speaking, you mentioned something about COVID, and I just curious with COVID and everything that's happened. I feel like it's been going on forever. We're almost 2 years, but thereabout. Are there some changes in, maybe like within procurement services within the last year and a half, 2 years, that maybe suppliers aren't aware of, or new businesses wanting to do business with your agency? Are there necessarily any changes that have come about as, dealing with COVID that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. I mean, this meeting happening virtually, right?
Well, that's a good one.
That has been like the biggest change, I think, overall for just life in general for all of us, is that we're meeting virtually. So a lot of those pre-bid meetings that were mandatory, or that we typically used to have in person, are now being done through Zoom calls. Or so that, I think, was a significant change for us. I think buying of the PPE, personal protective equipment. I know a lot about masks that I never knew before. Just those were things that were kind of new, definitely on the city side for us, that we had to learn about. And so from that perspective, it was definitely a change. We still continue to handle meetings virtually, although I will say there was a segment of our city services, our underground utilities, that just they were present every day. They continued, they were not remote, because you have to keep the city running. So for them, their pre-bid meetings were often, socially distanced, masked. So we do continue to have some services or some solicitations that continue to be, but a majority of those meetings are done virtually. So I hopefully you all got that, because I think I was on mute most of the time. But
yeah, we got the majority of it.
yeah. But either way, that has been a significant difference for procurement here.
The same here. We are currently doing a hybrid now. So instead of it being solely virtual, we're still keeping the virtual option open if somebody wants to use the Zoom meeting for many things. But we are doing more in-person meetings also. So we've got both of them going right now. And the only time that you really would have to show up in person is if we're doing a site visit, and it's critical that you get on site and take a look at that site in order to be able to produce a bid for us. But that is, I think, doing the things virtually has been the biggest change, or whatever else. But we're keeping that option out there for vendors that still want to utilize that.
I'll speak for FSU. I know we had to pivot when COVID started, and we had to really look for, mask and PPE because we have a vaccination site on campus for faculty, staff, and students. And so we've really had to do a lot to reach out to suppliers for disinfecting of campus spaces and, the vaccine supplies that were needed for our vaccination sites and the mask. Again, we reached out to a local supplier. We reached out to several local suppliers for even hand sanitizer. So that was a big step for us. Recently, we just purchased a lot of air purifiers. And I think with the way the supply chain is right now and could be for months to come, there are shortages of a lot of things out there. So that's something else that we're trying to get a good handle on things that we are going to be needing for future purchases.
Yes, and with FAMU, we pretty much jumped to a jump start. It was very intense because we had to find computers that a lot of people ran out of the different computers for being able to help and provide to our students and teachers, faculty that's on campus. And the next thing is a lot of the platforms. We either had to do a lot of contracts to set up a lot of different platforms so that the students were able to utilize services for tutoring or different formats of getting their notes in for their teachers and things. So that was a great challenge during the pandemic, and definitely the PPE supplies was. And we're like FSU, we had to reach out to some local people. We had to do a broad thing to try to get these supplies available here on the campus so that everybody can be safe. And again, we're still working with our sites. We've got a vaccination site and a testing center here on the campus. So that is an ongoing challenge because the original people pulled out of their contract. So we had to get a new contract going. So it's still ongoing. It's still a, hit and miss, but we got it.
This is a little off topic, but with your all's testing site and vaccination site, I want to just tell you, y'all are doing a bang up job. I hear staff and people going in and out and getting tested all the time or whatever else. And the times I've been down there, I've heard nothing but positive feedback. So you all are, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're doing a bang up job.
Thank you.
I concur. Thank you. So we have a question from Nicole Everett. It says, have you seen an increase in vendor applications since the pandemic? Yes, since the pandemic.
I think I've seen more emails from our suppliers trying to find out the process, how they can supply the mask was a big one that they were trying to solicit for. And we do welcome that. We just want to make sure we're in the right regulations for the mask, that everybody is covered with those masks. That was something that was addressed way back when we first started. But yes, we get a lot of emails, more so than anything. So we do talk with our vendors, and those that do submit them, we do go ahead and have purchased from some.
I think we have seen a slight increase over here, but again, I think more of it has been with our vendors touching base with our current vendors touching base with us, seeing, what they can do for us and what's going on. And even though we kind of had to shift and we were buying some different things there for a while, what else? We've been plugging along through the pandemic, trying to keep everybody working and keeping everything afloat. So I think we may have seen maybe a slight increase, but I don't know that I'm seeing a ton.
I think the same for FSU, slight increase, but we are getting a lot of phone calls and emails regarding PPE supplies and things that can help support pandemic needs.
Ditto for the city. A lot of what I call cold calls as it relates to PPE. Probably about 2.5 months ago, I was there was a flush of PPE that was available that people were trying to get rid of. So I got a lot of cold calls for that. But in terms of any increase in application, I don't know that I've really seen that sitting here at the city. So from that perspective, not an increase to my knowledge.
So while questions may still be coming in, one of the questions I had, maybe as we begin to wrap up, is what tips do you have for new supplier who want to do businesses or who wants to do business with your agencies? What are some tips you could give them? Cheat sheet? How do they start? And I know these are things you've probably already mentioned, but if you could just boil it down to these are the things you need to do, what would you tell them?
Here at the
I
county,
would
I tell them
register-
to register with Procure Qualifications of the bids we have out there. I would reach out and touch some of the program offices that may be getting quotes and buying smaller dollar items themselves instead of coming through purchasing. And again, I would push coming to the pre-bids and to look for subcontracting opportunities.
I would let suppliers know that they can visit our FSU Supplier Management Portal, and they can register for upcoming solicitations. They can also access current solicitations there, and they'll want to register to become a supplier for FSU for upcoming events, or to be able to view and access events. They can also just take a look at our website. They can contact any number of our procurement specialists to talk about our requirements and how to do business with FSU. We also have a tab on our webpage for suppliers, and it gives you a lot of information on how to do business with the university. So be sure to take a look at that as well.
Yes, I would recommend here with FAMU is that you do take a look at our webpage. Definitely see what's out here for our construction, speak with our construction area or our different areas to see what's available. As she mentioned earlier about the continuing services, we have plenty of continuing services ongoing, especially through our construction. So please reach out to them to see what's available out there for them. Do not hesitate to email purchasing@famu.edu or give us a call at 850-599-3203. And let's see if there's something available in case you cannot access our page in the midst of them updating it. Give us a call and we'll be happy to assist you.
I think I would echo a lot of what Shelly has said, which is to certainly make your presence known by contacting the departments, letting them know that what services or goods that you have available. Second would certainly be to register on our platform, which is BidSync. And that way you will get noticed about upcoming solicitations. Our purchasing agents are identified on our website, so you can certainly reach out to them if you have a particular question about a solicitation that you see on BidSync. You can certainly call them to say, I'm interested. Another thing that sometimes vendors do is they will ask for those companies that attended pre-bid conferences. And they take that list and they kind of mine it to see if there are subcontracting opportunities for them. So that's another way to me that those pre-bid meetings are helpful. You can certainly do that connection with other companies to see if you can partner to make something work for you.
Great. Well, thank you. I feel like I'm asking questions, but also listening. And it sounds like there are numerous opportunities and ways for suppliers to get plugged in and do business here in Tallahassee. So I hope our viewers will take hold of that and run with it. I do not see any further questions in the chat at the moment, but if anyone does have any other questions, please feel free to comment really quickly and we could see if we could. And there is one. Perfect. So we have a question. It says, can you share your opportunities with the Leon County School? And so we can help solicit participation. And that was from Rod McQueen. He's also put his email address. It's McQueen MC and then Queen L at leonc.edu. schools.net.
We'll be happy to, Rod. And again, just to kind of toss it out there, I'm talking about happy to work with the school board. We do that back and forth. Veronica and I work very closely together, and a lot of times, so we also, hit one of us, hit both of us. We share a lot. And there's also times that we look at going in and doing joint solicitations where we may put several of the agencies together and do one solicitation that's going to cover multiple areas. So again, just as far as advice, I keep a close eye on the solicitations we have out there and read them carefully, because there are times that we collaborate together and do some things together like that also.
Maybe a minute or so and see if there's any further questions. While we are wrapping up, I would like to thank you all for participating in the first workshop for Med Week, and also remind you that there will be 2 others following. I believe tomorrow is, it's titled Show Me the Money, so access to capital. So it's going to help, in terms of securing funding, how to create sustainable growth. So, I'm sure you've gathered a number of information here, but you can also join us tomorrow for the financial piece of it. But if we have no further questions, I guess we can wrap up. We'd like to thank our partners once again for partnering with us to put this together. And thank you, ladies, for participating. Thank you to FAMU, FSU, Leon County, the city. This has been great. And Lanisha Thornton echoes that sentiment. So thank you, and we hope to see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.